Good morning to all of you and welcome along to today's webinar. I'm Sam Peacock and I'm the Business Development Manager here at Landmark. So today for you we are going to be looking at the money laundering regulations and try and understand a little bit more about what we as agents need to be doing to show we are compliant. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a good steer on this, but if you do have any questions, my contact details are going to be on the last slide and you can contact me directly just for further clarification. So, the first place I want to start is to revisit the reasoning behind the compliance activity that agents undertake in relation to the money laundering regulations. HMRC, who regulate AML compliance for estate agents, have released guidance to help you deal with the existing regulations and the implications of the changes. The guidance provides us with some useful pointers when it comes to what HMRC expect of your compliance activity. The intended aim of the regulations is to prevent the use of illegally obtained funds or terrorist financing from being legitimised through the sale and purchase of property. HMRC are clear that the best way to do this is to better understand the transaction and the individuals involved, which is also known as Know Your Customer. Know Your Customer involves identifying and verifying all parties in the transaction and understanding more about the intended nature of the transaction and the motivation. In 99% of cases, this is likely to be self-evident, with people relocating, upsizing, downsizing, and so on. But you need to be vigilant where there is ambiguity over the purpose of the transaction. While we can all be guilty of being focused on collecting ID, utility bills and verified documents and so on, customer due diligence is a process by which you use the tools at your disposal to assess prospective clients and come to a decision about whether you are prepared to enter into a business relationship with them. For the most part, this has traditionally been achieved by collecting paper ID, whether that be driving licenses or passports and utility bills. As outlined by HMRC here on the slide, you must verify the document's validity and cross-reference the ID with the address. Where you collect paper ID, you must see original documents and not accept photocopies. More recently, the property sector has followed financial services and insurance and made of electronic checks to help with client verification. Electronic verification can help with the speed of checking clients and also with people you don't meet. Where seeing original versions of documentation is difficult and in order to verify their likeness, you need to have the document certified by a legal professional or similar. You must ensure your customer due diligence is complete prior to entering into a business relationship, so before you list the property. And HMRC will check the date on which the property is published against the date of your client verification. Guidance from HMRC outlines that purchasers become a customer when the offer is accepted. Therefore, client due diligence must be complete before contracts are exchanged. But in reality, this needs to be as early as possible and it can be done any time after an offer is informally accepted. So some of you may have come across the SELFIE method for dealing with customers you don't meet. Have your customer take a selfie with the picture page of their ID and send it to you. In this way, you verify the person in the selfie is the same as the photo on the ID. But in order for this to be compliant, you must have a way of verifying that the document with the photo on it is a valid document. Electronic checks provide the option of running a passport or driving license number to verify the legitimacy of the document, so there is minimum delay in verifying remote clients. Client verification is one part of Know Your Customer, as we've identified. Other parts of the transaction can also alert you to any potential risk. Remember, your objective is to prevent illegal funds from being legitimised through a property transaction. HMRC advises agents to look out for unusual aspects of the relationship, a residency in a high-risk part of the country, so for example London, unusual payment or purchase methods or complicated business structures, and significant cash assets and so on. We have put together a short guide to AML risk and property fraud red flags, which we will circulate at the end of this webinar. These are not hard and fast rules or indeed evidence of illegal activity, but they are red flags that should alert you to any potential risks. Where greater risk is identified, you must have a process in place for undertaking additional checks. This is known as enhanced due diligence, and within your risk assessments and AML policy, you should outline what steps you would take where a greater risk is identified. Make sure staff are trained on identifying potential high-risk scenarios in order to be able to make a decision on whether to apply enhanced due diligence or not. Here we outline the best resources for double-checking your customers and the circumstances around the transaction. Electronic verification saves time, and in most cases it negates the need to collect paper ID. And where you do collect paper ID, you can verify it electronically as discussed with the SELFIE method. You simply collect the name, date of birth and address details, which are run against positive and negative Experian data. Data like the electoral register, county court judgments, bankruptcies, administration orders, credit data like bank, mortgage, credit card and utility accounts and so on. The land registry is a useful resource with the title document containing confirmation of the owner or owners if there's more than one, the correspondence address, whether there's a mortgage on the property and who with, and information relating to the boundary, restrictive covenants or any other restrictions. If you suspected foul play, you could, for example, ask the client if there is an outstanding mortgage on the property and who it's with. You could become concerned if they struggle to answer this. Land Registry also holds boundary confirmation for all land that has been registered with Land Registry. If there's a boundary query, this would be useful to clarify. When it comes to foreign nationals, if they're resident in the UK and therefore have an electronic footprint here, so they have like driving licence, bank account, utility bills and so on, then you can carry out a UK electronic check. However, if you need to verify their foreign ID, such as a passport, or if they live outside the UK, then a foreign national check would be best. If you are dealing with a company and you need to verify the beneficial owners, those with 25% or more of the shares, then you can look on Companies House at the Persons of Significant Control or the PSC register, or you can undertake an electronic company check. It may be that you request either a decision in principle or evidence of the mortgage offer when you put forward offers to vendors. But proof of funds is another way in which you can apply an enhanced level of check if you have suspicions. I've left the most important one until last, staff training. You can have all the checks, policies and procedures in the world, but if staff are not trained on how to use and apply them, then you are still going to get caught out. Indeed, in a recent landmark survey, we identified that at owner-director level, the regulations are reasonably well understood. However, this is not being trained down to those at the coalface of the business. Indeed, if HMRC were to contact your estate agency, would whoever answered the phone be able to say who the money laundering reporting officer is or where the money laundering policy is? If not, you can be sure HMRC will be knocking on the door shortly after. Electronic checks modernise your anti-money laundering procedures and tick a number of boxes within the regulations when it comes to applying customer due diligence. Using electronic data is more thorough than using paper methodologies, as clients invariably have different levels of information they can provide. Some may or may not have passports or driving licenses. Instead of requesting paper ID from purchasers and potentially slowing the transaction, how much more of a positive experience are you providing your client with electronic checks? Yes, there is a cost associated with some of these, but what is the sunken cost to your business of staff spending time chasing answers to this information and storing it? And what is the perception this leaves your customers with of your business? What is the cost of an electronic check compared to the potential listing you could win by redeploying staff time to more proactive business activities? Compliance in a Box from Landmark is a pay-as-you-go compliance toolkit for estate agents with a complete range of checks to help with your standard and enhanced customer checks. If anybody is interested in a short compliance consultation, please don't hesitate to get in touch and we'd be happy to arrange this for you. Thank you so much to all of you for your attention today. I hope you have found this useful, and if you do have any queries or indeed are interested in finding out more about Landmark and how we can help you, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.